Hey guys, and welcome to today's episode. And in today's episode, we're saying goodbye to Lucy. So Lucy is our 2016 Toyota Landcruiser 200 Series GXL. We've had Lucy for about four and a half years, so since brand new, and we've travelled with her full time for the last 18 months. So today's episode, I'm going to show you what we've done to make sure she was able to go off-road, on-road, tour, take her all around Australia, the things, the modifications we've done, probably some of the modifications we should have done, and why we're actually moving away from the wagon and going to something completely different. So let's get started. First of all, we decided to put a roof rack, rhino rack on this one. That was just for storage mainly. When we're towing, we probably only got 400 kilometers per tank. So in a lot of locations, especially in Northern Territory, there was a lot of times that we would run out of fuel if we didn't carry this. So for us, you know, we didn't go the route of going with a long range fuel tank. So we decided just to put fuel at the top. We've also got these things here, really cool. The shovel here, they're permanently mounted. We've actually cleaned her up a bit because we've actually sold it and she actually goes tomorrow. So there's a lot of things that on this vehicle that are no longer on there anymore. So the shovel comes through here, max tracks, really handy. If you don't have them, you need to have them when you're touring. On the outside, we also changed and put these on. So if you have a look at these here, these are something pretty cool. So this is what we call our Clearviews, and they go pretty much in and out, and you can see they do have great flexibility. It means that you've got great towing options to be able to see clearly, and your field of view is so much better as well. We upgraded and put the Snorkel, Safari Snorkel on this one, just to obviously for airtake. There's lots of different reasons why people decide to put these on. Performance, improved air quality, and also that when we were going to be taking it through the water, that we obviously had a higher water line, so we didn't get any water into our engine, which would suck. What we also did in this one was we've chucked on all-terrains. These are BFG KO2s. One of the things that they are really good, and they do last a long time. Probably if I was to have my time again, I'd probably actually think about changing these ones. And probably the only reason is because they've got a really thick tread. So you can kind of see if you jump in here, the tread on these are quite deep. And what tends to happen is that although they have good grip, they actually sometimes pick up stones and flick them back. So one of the stories, when we were in the Plenty Highway, going from Alice Springs all the way through the East Coast, this whole thing smashed up. So what actually happened was the tyres flicked up some stones, hit the back of the caravan, ping, smash. So that's probably one of the things I probably wouldn't get it done again. Now, as part of this package, we had to have a GVM upgrade. A standard GVM, I believe, is 3.35 tonne. I'll put it down in the description below if it's not. But we've had this upgraded to 3.8, so come follow me. So what it does is it shows you here. So that just shows you that we've been certified for this vehicle to be now at 3.8 tonnes. This was before they were able to go to I think they've even got 4.2 tonne towing now. If I had my way again and I had the opportunity, I would definitely make sure that you put as much as possible onto this, because normally the 200 series doesn't have very much payload, and by the time you add people, I'm not a small guy, obviously having your partner, wife, kids, it all adds up in terms of weight, so just be careful on that. But for us, it obviously just worked. So that was part of the GVM upgrade. Because we've also got a big van. Now Vanessa, she's also gone, and if you haven't checked that video, I'll put up the link in the descriptions as well. But this is the other thing that we had to get done. So come have a look. So this Big Blue Betty. So Big Blue Betty is obviously part of that GVM upgrade and BTC upgrade. So this This is a requirement alongside a weight distribution hitch for us to be able to tow 4 tons maximum. So now we have the ability to be able to tow 4 ton with a van and have a GVM of 3.8 ton on the car. Come on here, it should also be plated around this side. So as you can see on this certification here, that's the date of approval, and the revised GVM on that certification is 7.8 tonne. So they have been able to revise GCM on this one to 7.8, which is obviously fantastic. And you'll probably notice here, I can show you the springs. So you can see obviously the springs, they're big blue springs been put into there. So they've been obviously reinforced. From the GVM, you're probably looking at about 2.5 inch lift, roughly, by the time you add the springs. Over the last 18 months, it has probably dropped off a little bit in terms of the ride height. So the rear has dropped probably 1/2 inch, and that's obviously over time. The weight, you know, we've got probably about 330 kilos of ball weight. So at the time that kind of pushes it down, we've obviously got, you know, a bit of a drop, which is fine. One of the things and issues that we have had with Lucy was we needed to replace her left-hand drive shaft. So there's one of the big things with 200s, and it's a known error or issue, is that sometimes the CVs can be an issue, and for us that was the case. Rather than replacing the CV, we just decided just to do the full drive shaft and replace it completely, which it did take people to diagnose it and took a few different people, but finally we actually got them actually to replace it, and it was perfect straight like that. So it wasn't a huge issue in the end, but it's something that, you know, in hindsight, we should have done a diff drop as part of the GVM upgrade with the lift. So if you are going to be lifting your vehicle over 2 inches, I would recommend that diff drop being done as well. On this side, you'll probably notice that what we did as well, we've put in just some lights on the side, and we did actually have a large 270 awning. It was probably another 15, 20 kilos, and it was a monster. Like, it was such a bloody mission to get out. If I think about how many times that we've actually used our awning in the last 18 months, I would probably say about 2, maximum of 3. And maybe one of those times was just testing it. So I don't know, I'm not convinced about this. Maybe it's the way that we travel, and because what we do and how we do it, we probably don't use it as much as maybe other people, because we have our van on site. But I'm not 100% sure if I would do that again. Well, I'm not actually, but anyway. Let's take a look around the back. So what we decided to do in the back, if you want to just take a bit of a view there. So we went with a full draw system through RV Ecolite. These aren't the lightest in their range, but it is, I think, middle of the range in terms of being able to, you know, drop their weight. So the drawers are really quite easy to use. Simply click them, and they're on rollers, so they're not too bad there. We've obviously got that there, and we went actually with a drop down fridge. The kids can't use it, wife can't use it, so it sucks. They look cool though, and they have some practicality, but most cases, pulling that down, if this is full, this is a lot heavier. This is not full at all, it's fine. So there's no issues at all when there's nothing in this fridge. But what's the point of having nothing in your fridge? So if I had my time again, I would look at other options and different setups. I would probably actually go an upright fridge, because then all the family can access it. There's no issues. This one in particular here, if you're caught off guard, it can actually smash you in the face, break your face, you know, punch through you, whatever you want to call it. But it's not cool, especially when you got young kids trying to jump up, grab stuff. They're hungry, they're thirsty, they're whatever. So I would put that one back and change it if I had my time again. Although the Engel fridge is absolutely amazing, it keeps it so cool that the beers are really nice. So that's probably one good thing about that setup. What we also did on the side was, you can probably see, we've just got a little setup here with a battery, and I'm just going to take off the cover here. So in here is where we house the battery. So this is our auxiliary battery, and it has got a battery check in there as well. The battery check, this is probably one thing that does my head in a little bit. It's really hard to manage what is being charged, what percentage of battery is. You have to really use, the only way you can find out what the battery is by using an app on your phone. So there's a battery app, and it just shows you what it is. And you can see at the moment it's at 100% the battery. But the issue is sometimes it doesn't frickin' work, and it's so annoying, and it doesn't pair up properly, and then you find yourself in a situation where you're trying to find out what your fridge is at, you don't know. And then if you let the battery go dead, then you've actually got a Kickstarter as well. So that is another issue. So you just have to be mindful that Perhaps if I had my time again, I'd probably set up a battery management system in that it had a kick, you know, something that a shunt or something that I was able to kick off once I got to a certain period without having to go right down to zero. I've also on this side here, this is where I kind of stash all some of my tools and stuff, jack, and I've also got the ARB twin compressor in there as well, which we use all the time. So having the onboard air, especially when you're traveling full time, is a must. We find that we use it all the time when we're off-road and, you know, when we need to air up on our tires. If we're four-wheel driving or whatever we're doing, it just means that we can just simply push the button in. Obviously the vehicle needs to be on for it to activate and work, but it's really simple. We keep our hoses and stuff normally in here as well. So that is super easy and great. We also put the cage at the back as well for the protection of the kids, because we don't want you get the fridge flying in their face or the back of their head. We actually do like our kids most of the time. So that's the back end. Oh, these little things here are pretty cool on the 200 series. We normally just stash all our stuff in there as well. And then, and this little bad boy is just a little toolkit to get your spare wheel off, which is underneath there. Taking you inside, now there's probably not really much that I can really show you inside. Take this rubbish out here. What we normally used to have is pretty standard inside, as you can probably tell. We didn't really have too much. We did actually have organisers on the seat. They were MSA organisers, which were okay sometimes, but what I tend to find was that the kids used to put all this crap in there. So they left any wrappers, any banana skins, apple cores, all the stuff that you do not want in there. They normally leave it in the organiser. And it's a pain in the backside having to try and clean it all up. It is handy, you just have to keep on top of it and make sure your kids aren't grubs. Unfortunately, our kids are grubs, so sorry about that one. Inside, internally, we have pretty much standard. Probably the only thing I can probably show you is we ended up putting a rear vision, and this rear vision is put on as for our reversing camera on our caravan. So at all times, we can run this full time. Now, they say that you shouldn't be using this as a full-time camera. I do, because it's so good to actually have something there that you can actually see what's behind you. So we know when, you know, if we're going up mountains or hills that, you know, we're gonna be slow because we're carrying a 3.9 tonne van. So there's always gonna be times where we're not always gonna be, you know, speeding around, but knowing what's behind you is important. And if there's someone coming around you fast and quickly, you need to know about it as well. So having that on is a great thing to have available. Internally as well, we've actually installed, and I'll show you, the aerial is just up here. So this is the aerial for the Cel-fi Go. So Cel-fi Go, we've actually mounted it inside the vehicle. So if you look underneath the seat there, you'll just see a little mount there, and that's full time on. And that's always on no matter where we are. What that does is boost Telstra signal. So we work on the road and kids sometimes have to use Wi-Fi because, you know, they get annoying and we need to give them the iPad. We sometimes need to give them that, and they like having the reception, and it just obviously boosts whatever receptions. And if you need to find out more about that, we can put all the links in the comments about, you know, what all the information you need to know about the Cel-fi Go unit from there. Other than that, in terms of inside, we're pretty much standard. I don't think there's anything else that I need to really show you about inside. Nah, so let's have a look underneath the bonnet. Oh no, one more thing. The only thing we did have it mounted, but we've just taken it off. We just use this, and it's great, especially when you're out of the area, rural, remote areas, behind trucks. You just need it, I think. Even on convoys as well. So if you're out with somebody, with other families, or traveling with other people, having that in the middle of nowhere that's an absolute must. So that's one thing that we have as well. We do actually also normally have a sat phone on board, but it's gone. I don't know where it's bloody gone. It has just disappeared somewhere. Probably, I'm going to blame the kids because they can't say anything about it. But my daughter's pointing the fingers at me in the background. But anyway, I'm pretty sure it's her. So we did have a sat phone, but we don't have any more. That was probably another communication tool that we did used to use as well. So which is obviously that aerial, and this is the aerial for UHF. It's a pretty good aerial actually. In hindsight, it's probably, in some ways, it can be better than these because these can break quite easily, where these have a little more flexibility. If they do snap, It's actually less costly to replace one of these than it is one of these. Under the hood, I haven't really done too much. There's been no remap, no change in oil, no upgrade in airboxes, intercoolers, nothing like that. Fuel manager filter put on this as a fuel filter. That just gives us the peace of mind if we're out in the middle of nowhere that we're not getting crap fuel. And we do actually have a water sensor on board that goes beep, 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 or just beeps at us if there is a lot of water on board. So that does help if we need to, because if you've got crappy fuel, you don't want crappy fuel. And other than that, under the bonnet, there isn't anything else. This is a kind of afterthought. We had this stock, this alloy bar. This is a Toyota genuine alloy bar, and we had it before we actually went traveling. Now, if I was asked would I do this bar again, I'd probably say no if I was set up for touring, because one, I can't put a winch on it, and it probably isn't the strongest. Touch wood, we haven't had any roo strikes or any animal strikes, which has been good, but it probably wouldn't hold up compared to a steel bar either. And not having that winch, we've probably been in a couple of situations where it would have helped out. It wouldn't have been necessary, but it would have been good just to know that we had something on board as well. So I'd probably I'll change that. Just having a quick look over the vehicle, I don't think there's anything else that I can really show you other than standard, what you already know. The lights is probably the last thing actually. So the lights were an afterthought, if anything. The lights, we didn't actually have the lights when we first left, and then I decided just to get them. And I'm actually really happy I did, because there's been a couple of occasions where we've been in the dark, and it's amazing when you think when you live in a regional or a metropolitan area, you think, oh, I probably don't need lights. What's the point of having lights? But when you're in the outback, there's no lines, there's no cat eyes, there's no borders or anything showing where the road is. These can actually absolutely save you. Even if it's just the 1 or 2 times that you need it at night where you get stuck in a location where you do need to travel, I would strongly recommend you look at a set of lights to get you through. Even though we love Lucy, Lucy's been a fantastic, and we've only had the one problem with Lucy, which was the CV and the right-hand drive shaft. The reason why we've decided to sell Lucy was, one, it was time to, I suppose, move on to a newer vehicle. But for us, we find, especially with having a larger family and wanting to travel to more remote locations, we couldn't just take the car by herself without having enough storage. We also had on the top our RV5 tent, which was the Oz tent, which we used once. Actually maybe twice in the whole trip. And that's probably because, again, if we wanted to go somewhere, we're kind of like, we didn't have enough room to store everything, such as water, clothes, whatever you wanted to bring with you. So we kind of didn't do it as much. But for us, we've obviously made a decision to upgrade our vehicle. You'll be able to find out very soon why. But for us, she's been an absolute beauty of a car. If you've got any questions, make sure you check out our write-up on it, all the details. I'll put all the information on all the inclusions down below. But as I said, if you've got any questions, let us know, and talk to you guys soon. See yous. Thanks for watching!
Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bells. Comment down when done, you might get shout out in our next video.